This couple had been together for 8 years. They had been married for 6, and they had 4 children together. They also had 2 stepchildren. So we were basically able to argue about the entire family unit and how they would be affected without their father present in their lives. For anyone who's unfamiliar with an I-601A waiver, this waiver is primarily used to forgive unlawful entry. And essentially, you have to argue that the qualifying relative would experience extreme hardship if the applicant was forced to return to their home country. USCIS already anticipates that you will experience inconveniences and having to relocate. So they really want you to present the extreme hardship and rise up to that burden of proof. And there's different types of hardships that you can use. So for example, we've argued emotional hardship, medical hardship, financial hardship, career hardship, and it really just depends on each client's stories. So for this case in particular, we argued extreme emotional hardship. We also talked about the love story that existed between them. She had a previous marriage where she suffered different types of abuse. So we just also wanted to showcase how she specifically would suffer without her husband, and also just having to navigate a long distance marriage in the case that they were to be separated. We also talked about the career and the financial hardship that they would experience. So again, having 6 children and having to potentially either relocate or stay here without the father who was a breadwinner. Just really showcasing what that would mean for them on the day-to-day basis, and essentially explaining how they would really have to live in poverty or need of government assistance in that case. We also felt that it was important to talk about the children's education, and essentially how their futures would be compromised without their father present. Or again, if they were having to relocate to a new country that they were entirely unfamiliar with, where they don't know the language, how that would affect all of their children as well. And finally, one of the key arguments that we used was medical hardship, and we explained how the U.S. citizen wife suffered from different conditions, and how in the present she was receiving good quality health care here in the U.S., and essentially, if she had to relocate to Mexico, for example, she would not have access to health care, nor would she have the funding for it. And in addition, if the husband were to leave, then she would also not have the financial resources to continue to care for herself, because she would ultimately be a father and mother for her children. So some of the documents that were really important in our case were presenting affidavits from the applicants, from the U.S. citizen wife. We also presented letters from all the children. These were very heartwarming letters from their hearts and in their own words that talked about how they would be affected without their father. And we also demonstrated financial documents to show that in fact they would suffer extreme financial hardship. So for example, we presented tax returns, bank statements to give a glimpse as to their current economic situation. We also presented his FBI record to show that he in fact had no criminal record. Lastly, we presented some research to just show the statistics and comparisons between the US and Mexico, and again, to be able to support the claims that we were making in our case. Ultimately, the case was approved without a request for evidence, and our client was able to successfully interview in Ciudad Juarez in Mexico and be able to also successfully enter the United States as a permanent resident. We feel very fortunate to have been part of their journey, and if you have a similar situation or if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Take care and thank you for watching.